I'm Maiki Oreta, and welcome to Industry Beacon, where we shine a light on the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the industry leaders shaping our future. And in each episode, we'll explore how they're staying ahead in their respective fields, one industry at a time. On today's episode, we're talking about a growing crisis, hunger in the Philippines. The latest Social Weather Stations, or SWS survey, reveals a shocking statistic. 1 in 4 Filipino families, or 26%, went hungry in the last 3 months of 2024. Now, that's the highest level since the COVID-19 lockdowns. In response, the government is expanding its Walang Gutom program, a food assistance initiative under the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, which provides monthly food subsidies and operates community kitchens to help families in need. But will this be enough? With food prices soaring and more households falling into poverty, what else needs to be done to make sure that no Filipino goes hungry? Joining us now to break it all down is DSWD spokesperson, Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao. Good morning, Irene. Thank you for being here with us.
Hi, Micah. Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's Maiki. Hi, Irene. Okay, so you are on the front lines of hunger mitigation in the country. The latest SWS poll shows hunger incidents up 26%, highest since the pandemic. Do these numbers reflect what you're seeing on the ground, Irene?
Of course, there are a lot of factors that may have resulted to that SWS survey. If you could perfectly recall, the country has experienced several typhoons in the last quarter of 2024, and this could be one of the reasons that affected the situation of most of the Filipinos, particularly those who have been affected by these disasters.
Irene, social welfare plays a key role in national stability. Can you give us the bigger picture, an overview of how this industry is doing as we come into 2025?
Yeah, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, of course, is deeply committed in addressing food insecurity. We really wanted to help individuals who are experiencing involuntary hunger due to extreme poverty. That is the reason why we have expanded the implementation of the Walang Gutom program. And complementary to that is the implementation also of the Walang Gutom kitchen. We wanted to provide necessary interventions to these individuals and families who are experiencing involuntary hunger because these kinds of shocks or life events really affect the well-being of our beneficiaries. So these interventions, the social safety nets, are very important. That is why we've, as I've mentioned, we're scaling up the implementation of the Walang Gutom program. And not only that, we're also strengthening our coordination and convergence with other government agencies so that the objectives of the Walang Gutom program, which is to address involuntary hunger and malnutrition, will be achieved by the end of this administration.
Looking at the bigger picture, and speaking of your priorities, what are the top priorities of the DSWD this 2025, Irene?
Okay, aside from the implementation of the Walang Gutom program, as I've mentioned, we're scaling up its implementation. We're also focused on the disaster efforts of the department. Through the Buong Bansa Handa program, we intend to build more supplies or stockpiles for our disaster response efforts by coming up with 2 parallel supply chains. One is the government sector-driven, and second is the private sector-driven, where we enter into, or we will maximize our partnership with the private sector and draw down from our framework agreement so that we could make sure that all the necessary supplies, especially food items, are ready in case there are disasters that would affect our country. And of course, the third priority of the DSWD is to digitalize the implementation of social welfare programs and services through the DSWD help. So we hope that all the services, particularly the accreditation, the registration, licensing, and accreditation of social welfare development agencies, would also be digitalized, including also the issuance of minors traveling abroad permit. So ilan lang kasi ang mga nakakaalam na may mga ganitong functions din, no, ang DSWD. So aside from the social welfare services and programs that we are implementing, we are also accrediting or providing licenses to social welfare development agencies who are partners of the department in the implementation of social welfare programs and services.
Yeah, there's a lot that you guys do, Irene. The government has approved a 2025 national budget of 5.77 trillion, the largest in history. From this, how much is going to go to the DSWD, and are you satisfied with the figure you're getting for 2025?
Well, based on the 2025 General Appropriations Act, the Department of Social Welfare Development will be receiving more than 215 billion pesos fund for the various programs and services that we are implementing, including those of our attached agencies. Of course, we're very grateful that this budget was given to the DSWD, and we hope that we could get more from the unprogrammed funds because there are so many programs and services that we wanted to implement, scale up, and of course, there are a lot of program beneficiaries that we wanted to be served. And considering that with the threats, of course, of climate change, we wanted to ensure that magiging sapat yung mga resources natin that could address the needs of the disaster-affected families. And of course, make sure that all our programs and services are effectively implemented.
That's a question, Eileen. Sapat ba sa halagang 250 billion pesos, a little more than that? Is it enough to implement and to do everything that the DSW needs to do, given the mammoth challenges in this sector?
Yes, based on our planning, of course, the fund is sufficient, the budget is sufficient, but we would appreciate if there would be additional fund that would be allocated to the department later on.
Okay, Irene, can you tell us more about one of your hunger mitigation programs, your Walang Gutom program? This started during the Marcos administration. What makes it different from previous assistance programs, and how do we make sure that this is sustainable? And it's an immediate assistance, but how do we make sure that it is, more can be done with it?
Yeah, the Walang Gutom program 2027 or the food stamp program is actually a food augmentation support to families who are experiencing involuntary hunger due to extreme poverty. So we provide 3,000 pesos worth of food credit using the electronic benefit transfer card given to the 1 million food poor households that were determined from the DSWD's National Household Targeting System for Poverty Reduction, or the DSWD Listahanan. The DSWD Listahanan was able to identify 1 million food poor households. Sila yung pinaka-bottom ng ating National Household Targeting System for Poverty Reduction. So the EB or the electronic benefit transfer card is actually a safe and easy to use card that contains that monthly benefit. And our beneficiaries are taught to purchase food items from the accredited Kadiwa ng Pangulo stores, other local merchants or outlets, small and medium enterprises, supermarkets. And we make use of a food basket that was devised in coordination with the National Nutrition Council. So 1,500 pesos of the 3,000 is actually allocated for carbohydrates like rice and bread. 30% goes to protein-rich foods such as chicken and pork. And of course, there's also a budget for fruits and vegetables. So this food mix has been carefully designed with other government agencies.
Okay.
So this program goes beyond simple food distribution. It also
element as well. Yeah.
A comprehensive approach that empowers families and addresses the root cause of food insecurity.
Speaking of a comprehensive approach, Irene, these programs are fantastic because they provide immediate relief. But how do we make sure that the assistance given leads to self-sufficiency for the actual families that benefit from it?
Yeah, the Walang Gutom program has two specific conditions. One is attendance to nutrition education sessions. That's a monthly condition wherein we promote behavioral change amongst our beneficiaries. Natuturuan yung ating mga beneficiaries to prepare mura, masustansya at masasarap na pagkain. In addition to that, our beneficiaries are also encouraged to attend skills development activities wherein we partner with the Department of Labor and Employment and the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. They are also asked to participate in local job fair programs so that we're not just addressing the problem on hunger and malnutrition, but we also empower our beneficiaries to become self-sufficient through skills development and job placement opportunities offered by these two agencies that I've mentioned. So given these interventions, we hope that we will be able to teach families to prepare healthy, tasty meals, foster behavioral change, promote healthy eating habits, and come up with sustainable solutions that will address the root causes of food insecurity within the family.
I like the multidimensional approach there that you're working with other government agencies, especially TESDA and DOLE, because they need the skills and then they need the jobs, because hunger is just one aspect of a bigger problem. Zooming out a bit, Irene, what would you say are the biggest challenges in the social service food-specific sector in the country in 2025? The top 3 biggest challenges that you guys are facing at the DSWD?
Well, instead of challenges, I'd rather call it as opportunities because we wanted to make sure that our social protection programs and services are adaptive and shock responsive. As I've mentioned, with the threats of climate change and other adverse shocks and other risks and vulnerabilities, we really have to increase the responsiveness of social protection programs to adopt and meet changing needs on the ground, especially that there are really certain shocks that or risks that our country is facing.
That's right. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Irene, I wanted to talk about the economic pressure of inflation. Inflation in the Philippines averaged at 3.2% in 2025. Can you talk to us about how you guys are helping cushion the impact of inflation at 3.2%? And it's an adverse shock. Can you tell us how big of a problem inflation at 3.2% is for the people on the ground as you see it?
As lead in social protection, of course, the Department of Social Welfare and Development has also other interventions that could help caution the effect of inflation, especially to individuals who are earning no more than the statutory minimum wage. One of the social safety nets that we are implementing, of course, is the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program. So this particular intervention protects families and individuals from poverty and equality. It helps them manage risks and volatility, and it could also help them to access economic opportunities. So this Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program aims to help individuals be safeguarded from being trapped into poverty. So with this, we are really our focus, the DSWD is focused in coming up with interventions that could really help caution the effect of inflation.
Okay, thank you, Irene. I'm going to have to ask you to hold that thought. We're going to be taking a quick break. Industry Beacon will be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Industry Beacon. Let's continue our discussion on the hunger crisis with DSWD spokesperson, Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao. Hi, Irene.
Hi.
Okay.
Thank you again for DSWD.
Picking up back off our discussion, are there innovations or policy shifts that you would like to see moving forward to help improve the delivery of social services here in the Philippines?
Yeah, actually, one of the efforts of the DSWD is to really make our social protection plan uh, adaptive and shock responsive to various risks. I mentioned this earlier because we are considering that uh, given the threats of climate change, where the Philippines is really vulnerable to various disasters, we have to make sure that our beneficiaries for the various social protection programs are also capacitated, and there are other interventions or tra- uh, like cash transfers that are provided to our beneficiaries in anticipation of various risks or disasters or emergencies. That is why the DSWD is really deeply committed in ensuring that social protection programs, social assistance, social safety nets are being uh, implemented for our fellow Filipinos who are most vulnerable to various risks.
Yeah, you mentioned shock responsiveness. How would you rate where we are at present? The Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries. Last year, we had a slew of typhoons that rocked the country, impacting inflation and making food prices go up. How prepared are we for catastrophes as we come into 2025? How prepared is the DSWD for all of the shocks that could potentially arise this year? It could be a slew of typhoons, it could be an earthquake. Are we ready? How ready are we?
Yeah. Actually, this is one of the instructions of the DSWD Secretary to really make sure that the department is ready to respond to the needs of disaster affected communities. Um, of course, we provide augmentation support and technical assistance to local government units who are frontlines, but we make sure that we are capacitated and that we have sufficient and adequate resources. That is why we continue to strengthen the implementation of the Buong Bansa Handa project under the Disaster Response Management Group of the department, wherein we've entered into various relief repositioning agreements with various local government units so that we could make use or utilize their warehouses as we continue to strengthen also the production of family food packs in the major hubs of the DSWD. The major hubs are located at the National Resource Operations Center and the Visayas Disaster Response Center. But this year, we're expanding to have our own resource hub at the Mindanao region. That is to ensure that we are ready to respond to and provide augmentation support to local government units. I also mentioned earlier our framework agreements with various private retailers, manufacturers, so that their produce or their we could draw down from our framework agreements with them so that we could complement the family food packs that are being produced by the DSWD. So the idea here is to make the DSWD omnipresent. Anytime, anywhere a disaster strikes, DSWD is ready to augment to local government units.
Well, you certainly have your work cut out for you, Irene. In one word, how would you describe the challenges that you guys, or the opportunities as you'd like to put it, how would you describe all that's ahead in 2025?
Well, of course, 2025 is promising for the department, promising because there's a lot of opportunities for us to expand the various programs that we are implementing. There are also various opportunities for us to improve on how we deliver social protection programs and services. And also there are opportunities to be of better service to our fellow men and to make services more closer to the people. So yeah, I think that's how we describe um, our services or our tasks would be in 2025.
Personally, out of all of your initiatives, all of your many initiatives, Irene, at the DSWD, what's your personal favorite initiative?
Well, of course, one is the Walang Gutom program because we are able to see how we can improve lives of food insecure households. Uh, Imagine in the previous years they are not able to acquire or purchase food items for their respective families. But because of this intervention, nakikita natin that they are empowered because they are able to choose the food items that could address the specific needs of each family member. And they are also taught to prepare these food items that they have purchased. And aside from that, we were able to see and witness how they have participated in skills development activities and job employment opportunities. In fact, we've seen also one of our beneficiaries really be gainfully employed. So it really is a promising program. There's a lot of opportunities for it to improve our beneficiaries' level of well-being. Of course, there's another program that's, of course, Pantawid Pamilya Philippine program because that is an investment in human capital, particularly in the education and health of children beneficiaries. We've seen a lot of graduates from this program, children who have aced licensure examinations. They are now professionals, and we've seen that poverty did not really affect or stop them from achieving their dreams. So there are a lot of success stories from these programs that I've mentioned, and this is what we hope to pursue and continue in the coming years.
As a final message to our viewers, Irene, what can we all do to ensure that no Filipino goes hungry?
Of course, there should be a collective effort on the part of the private sector and the public sector. Private and public should really be helping each other to ensure that necessary assistance or interventions are given to families who are poor, vulnerable, and marginalized. We've seen this convergence effort work through the Walang Gutom kitchen, wherein there are a lot of donations that we have been receiving from the private sector, particularly the hotel associations, fast food chains, and other private manufacturers, wherein they bring their food surplus to our Walang Gutom kitchen or the food bank, which is located in Pasay City. And our volunteers who help in cooking, preparing food, and serving food to the less fortunate individuals who are experiencing involuntary hunger have been very successful, and it really showed impact to vulnerable sectors. So, this kind of coordination and collaboration really show that if the private sector and the public sector would help and converge, there's a lot of significant impact that could result from it.
All right. Thank you for the vital work that you do in this sector, Irene Dumlao, spokesperson of the DSWD and Assistant Secretary.
Thank you very much.
And that's it for today's show. I'm Maiki Oreta. Catch the Billionario News Channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Signal Channel 24. Thank you for watching the Billionario News Channel, always on top.